Now, with the latest developments here at home and abroad, Target Iraq. This is News 10 NBC.
You are looking at a live picture of Baghdad, where it's 3:30 in the morning on Friday. The war with Iraq moved into high gear today, with coalition forces striking numerous targets in and around Baghdad. We have extensive coverage of the latest events, both home and abroad. Good evening. I'm Janet Lomax.
I'm Gabe Dalma. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of News 10 NBC.
Baghdad is once again filled with echoes of explosions as the war intensifies tonight. The second night's bombardment of Baghdad is more intense. Here is the latest on the strikes. U.S. and British troops have advanced their position into southern Iraq. U.S. military sources say Iraq has so far fired at least 4 missiles into Kuwait. There were no casualties, no damage. At least one of the missiles was shot down by a U.S. Patriot missile. An Army helicopter made a hard landing this afternoon. Fortunately, the 2 soldiers on board were rescued and are now safe. After last night's bombing, a videotape apparently of Saddam Hussein was shown on Iraqi television. U.S. officials are currently analyzing that tape to determine if it is indeed Saddam Hussein.
Joining us right now is retired Marine Colonel Dennis Morga with the 8th Tank Battalion back in the Operation Desert Storm, the first war against Iraq. How is it different this time, as far as you can tell?
Well, Gabe, the start of this particular conflict has a significant difference from when we were involved 12 years ago. The start of the first Persian Gulf War, we were up against Iraqi locations that were well established, well dug in, had been there for quite some time, and were subjected to quite a bit of bombing. In this particular case, there's been a complete reversal. The Iraqi units, the defense units are back, and we have not seen any Iraqi units close to the border area, and we expect it to be a more fluid battlefield.
So no need to soften up those positions, particularly in the southern part of Iraq, throughout the no-fly zone. Really, U.S. forces know everything that has to be positioned in that area. Do you think that the battalions now, the armored battalions and other units, are moving up rapidly toward Baghdad at this point, even though we're not hearing about that, obviously? But do you think they're close to Baghdad?
I think what's happening right now, Gabe, is the armored mechanized units are moving towards Baghdad, but I think there's a lot of probing going on right now. I think the units in the field are actually moving across, trying to identify the soft targets. I know that communications equipment and communication antenna units are a high priority.
Right.
I think the intent will be to completely shut down the communication system within the country to allow our forces to move relatively undetected.
Let's assume that these units have not yet moved in the way that they would later on as they get close to Baghdad. They're not in a combat situation right now. What is the mood among the soldiers? As you recall from your days during Operation Desert Storm, what is a soldier in a tank thinking right now?
Well, I think the first thing that happens is you do a little bit of thinking as you're waiting of your family and thinking of back home. I think what they do now is they're going to clear their minds of those sort of things and focus on their mission. My guess is right now they're anxious to get to work. I don't think they're looking forward to war, of course, but I think they're ready to do their mission.
All right, retired Colonel Dennis Morga of the Marines, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Governor George Pataki says New York is taking unprecedented measures to beef up security in the state. Brett Davidson spoke with him via satellite earlier today. Here's a portion of that interview.
Given that we are now officially at war, what security measures have you taken on behalf of New Yorkers today?
Well, we are at war, and our thoughts and prayers are with the brave men and women in the Middle East fighting to defend our freedom. And we know that New York is one of those symbols of the strength and the freedom of America. We've been attacked before. So that's why we thought it prudent and appropriate to create this Nice Safe program, Nice Shield program, that has now been implemented across New York State. And it means heightened National Guard activities, much stronger border security across the borders of New York State, much expanded state police activity, working with school districts, the private sector, and local officials. And I'm just very confident that everything that can be done to protect the people of New York is being done.
Governor, have you heard of any specific targets in New York State that might be vulnerable at this juncture?
Well, Brett, I think that's a very important question, and the answer is there is no specific threat against any target anywhere in New York State.
Governor, can you talk specifically about areas here in Rochester where security has been ramped up, be it the nuclear power plants or the airport. What can you tell us about this area?
Well, obviously, nuclear power plants have been indicated by Washington as potential targets, and we have dramatically expanded security there. And we do have National Guard troops. I'm not going to get into numbers or where they are, but they certainly are at power plants and at other critical infrastructure areas.
We've also heard that state police have ramped up their security measures, doing additional inspections on the thruway commercial vehicles. What can you tell us about that?
Well, that's correct. Yesterday I swore in 202 additional new state police. We're at the highest level ever in the history of New York State. As trucks and other vehicles that should be inspected roll across upstate New York, there are going to be random stops, random checks. There are going to be a lot more patrolling. We have some high-tech equipment that allows for the complete X-raying of trucks or vans from a distance without any disruption of the traffic. And all of this is being implemented and utilized to make sure everything we can do to protect the people of New York is being done.
And the governor also urged the legislature to pass the Patriot Plan that would bring various kinds of benefits to active National Guard members.
Well, these are certainly tense times for local families who have loved ones serving in the military. Captain Chris Willis of Hilton is with the 101st Airborne, and we were with his mom and dad today when the bombing campaign began. Kristen Salome has their story.
Come on, guys. Come on, outside. Come on, out, 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 out.
The Willis family and their 6 Cocker Spaniels follow the daily routine. But life is anything but routine when your son is fighting a war.
You stay very busy and do what mothers have done for all the wars and all the history. Stay very busy and pray.
Captain Chris Willis flies a medevac helicopter for the Army's 101st Airborne. Last they knew, he was in Kuwait.
When there are casualties that have to be airlifted out, whether it's aircraft or ground troops, they respond to the scene.
General Monty Miggs now, who's over at the telestrator.
For the Willises, the television is a constant companion. Their son also served in the First Gulf War and peacekeeping missions in Bosnia. But this conflict is different.
Does it get any easier? Not really easier. And this one's a little bit more, you know, with the chemicals and the biological.
That's what I mainly worry about, exposure to chemical and biological agents.
They rely on emails from Chris and updates from his wife to keep their spirits up.
The biggest thing is we need to support our daughter-in-law and the grandchildren right now, and because Chris knows we're doing that.
When it comes to war, they too are veterans.
I truly hope that this will be as short can be.
And even if this war is over soon, it won't be the last dangerous assignment for Captain Willis. He's scheduled to go to South Korea this summer.
Rochester's police chief met with other leaders at City Hall this morning to talk about security measures now that the U.S. is at war. Chief Robert Duffy wouldn't talk about specific steps that are in place, but said some may be visible, others not so visible to the public. Duffy says police are in constant contact with state and federal authorities. He said the police department has not gone to emergency mobilization, but is prepared if necessary.
We're prepared to go to any level that we have to in terms of mobilization and deploying people. But in the interim, there are just a number of things that we have done already, we'll continue to do, and we have great relationships and contacts with the federal and state authorities.
And Duffy has also made a plea to the public and to protesters. He's asking people to use common sense and to not do anything that will require police to pull resources away from protecting the community.
Also on the home front, the FBI is looking for a Saudi man. Officials say he could be plotting terrorist attacks against the U.S. They think the man named Adna El-Shukri Juma may have been in Miami before he disappeared. The FBI says that he could be linked to Al-Qaeda.
Well, you just heard the governor talk about this. National Guard patrols have been stepped up at the country's largest nuclear power plant. U.S. Energy Secretary Spencer Abraham says he's received information that the plant in Palo Verde, Arizona, may become a terrorist target. Now, we checked with RG&E about security concerns at the Ginay nuclear power plant, and officials tell us they are maintaining their current level of security unless notified by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Well, News10NBC has a crew in Kuwait City with the 101st Airborne.
And our crew has had some close calls during the airstrikes. We'll have the details on that just ahead. 10NBC's coverage of the war in Iraq continues.
I was never in this game for awards, but I'll take my bows. Buick LeSabre. Ranked best full-size car in initial quality. Century, best premium midsize. The remarkably versatile Rendezvous. Through March 31st, Buick Quality rewards current GM owners with a total of $3,000 cash back. Move up to Buick Quality now. See your Greater Rochester area Buick dealer today.
From the creators of the Matrix trilogy comes an explosive prelude to the Matrix Reloaded, Final Flight of the Osiris, one of 9 mind-bending short films from the Animatrix. Premiering with Dreamcatcher, rated PG-13.
It only happens once a year. It's our lowest prices of the year sale. Isn't it time you shopped City Mattress?
You want it? We got it. It's March Mania at Marina Dodge. 0 down and 0% financing. It's packed now on every new Dodge at Marina Dodge. Save more than ever with 0 down and 0 interest. Or you can get a new Dodge Neon or Caravan only $149 a month. Get a brand new Dodge and your payments could be less than you're paying now. March Mania only at Marina Dodge with 0 down and 0 interest. Or get a new Dodge Neon or Caravan only $149 a month. Hurry! March Mania ends March 31st. Marina Dodge, 943 Ridge Road, Webster.
Rochester Colonial, your window and door experts.
You can hear News 10 NBC on the radio every day on WYSL News 1040. These broadcasts are made possible by Charlotte Furniture and Appliance. You're watching News 10 NBC with the latest developments here at home and abroad. Target Iraq.
We have a crew embedded with the 101st Airborne Division in Kuwait. Rebecca LeClaire today talked with News 10 NBC's Dean Staley in the Kuwaiti desert. He's with local soldiers. Dean told Rebecca how they just missed getting hit by a missile. Here's a portion of that interview.
This is Rebecca LeClaire coming to you from Rochester, New York from 10 NBC. Can you tell us what the situation? You're in Kuwait, I understand.
Yeah, Rebecca, we're at Camp Thunder with the 101st Airborne camped out in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert.
What's the situation? We had heard that Scud missiles were sent your way from Iraq today. Are you anywhere near that situation? Did you hear sirens?
Yeah, Rebecca, it was a terrifying day for us here at Camp Thunder. We're only about 20 or 30 miles in rough terms from the Iraqi border, and this morning we heard Patriot missiles, which are in a battery just outside of the camp. We heard Patriot missiles taking off. One of them exploded in midair over the camp, and it was at that point that everyone here with the 101st Airborne put on their gas masks, their Kevlar helmets, their body armor, ran outside and jumped into the ditches that they've dug out here 3 to 4 feet deep for protection. The presumption being there was an incoming Scud missile that those Patriots had gone out to intercept. We were in those ditches probably for 2 or 3 hours today, in and out of them, waiting for the all clear, waiting for one of these Scuds to come out of the sky and hit either the camp or somewhere outside the camp. And the big concern, of course, was that one of these Scud missiles might have had chemical or biological weapons on board. That's why we had our gas masks on, and we had our chem suits on or next to us. And then we finally got the all clear. We found out later that it was an Al-Masoud Iraqi Scud missile that was aimed, one of them, for Camp Thunder, and one of those Patriot missiles intercepted that Scud missile in the air just 5 or 6 miles from here. So there was a great deal of relief after that, knowing that the Patriots had performed, but we are still on alert. And I should tell you that just about 20 minutes ago, we heard rolling thunder, what sounded like in the distance. We did not see Tomahawk cruise missiles going over, but the people here tell me that rolling thunder might have been Tomahawk cruise missiles headed north from the Gulf over our position into Iraq, presumably to take out some of those Scud emplacements that are in Iraq that fired on us earlier today. So we are hopeful that we are somewhat safer this evening if those were in fact Tomahawk missiles and if they in fact were able to take out some Scud positions inside Iraq.
What are the conditions like? What are you dealing with personally and trying to live day by day? Are you getting food, water, showers?
You know, I have to confess to you, I've not had a shower in probably 4 or 5 days. We're doing what we can to take sort of field showers, using baby wipes to sort of, to bathe without using water. And then when we get, access to water, using it very sparingly. To try to stay clean out here and practice good field hygiene. That's what all the troops are doing out here. Just enough water, drinking water, to brush your teeth, and to maybe take, a sponge bath every now and then, every couple of days. Fortunately, the conditions here are dry. I think that helps in terms of people, being comfortable. In terms of the living arrangements, we are inside tents, but generally speaking, there's not electricity available to everyone here in the camp. Of course, the communication centers do have AC power that are run off of generators, but for the most part, conditions aren't too bad.
We'll continue to hear from Dean as our coverage of the war continues.
Well, about 200 students at Wilson Magnet High School held a rally for troops. The students joined hands to form a circle in front of their school building today. They talked about the war, the constitutional rights, and the safety of all young people. Well, the State Department is warning U.S. citizens abroad there could be possible terrorist attacks and anti-American violence. The Canandaigua and Palmyra-Macedon school districts just canceled some field trips because of the war. Elizabeth Shernack has more on how the war is affecting the travel industry.
Okay. Liberty Travel at the Eastview Mall opened early this morning. With the start of war, travel agents expected to be busy with cancellations and trip postponements.
Consumer confidence in traveling is quite low.
Because of the war, many airlines, hotels, and resorts are waiving cancellation fees.
They're very flexible. No change fees. Most of them will allow you to change the dates, destinations, so on and so forth.
Schools around the area are reviewing their travel and field trip policies. Here in Canandaigua, they've canceled 2 field trips, one to New York City, the other to Washington, D.C. That trip was supposed to leave last night.
I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry because you can understand their concern.
Jenny Siverud's U.S. government and politics class is now instead spending class time talking about the war.
It would have been a very valuable field trip for these students, but in the end the district had to say it's just not appropriate to potentially put them in harm's way.
The Canandaigua School District wants to keep students close to home in case the orange security alert is upgraded. The State Department of Education recommends this. The district also put a moratorium on local field trips for 1 week.
Some great savings out there.
The good news for those of you who don't mind traveling during wartime is that prices are at an all-time low.
It's a good time to book a vacation, even for the future.
The future of the travel industry, however, isn't so bright. Liberty Travel expects some vendors will end up closing because of the effects of war. Elizabeth Shernack, News 10 NBC.
Well, both schools and travel agents are keeping a close eye on the nation's travel warnings. There's a lengthy list of countries the U.S. recommends Americans avoid. You can log on to our website at 10nbc.com for a link to that list.
And just a reminder, there are 2 more days left in our Comfort Corps campaign. You can drop off items for our local troops at any Raymore and Flanagan store, the Red Cross, or United Way. Once all the items are collected, we'll send care packages to our soldiers abroad. The Comfort Corps campaign wraps up Friday. There you see the locations. We are, of course, closely following the developments in Iraq.
And the developments here at home still ahead. We'll take you live to a prayer service in Rochester. 10NBC's coverage of Operation Iraqi Freedom continues.
The Hyundai Elantra, a comparison. More standard features than Honda Civic LX, like front side impact airbags. All for over $2,400 less than the Civic LX. And only the Elantra is protected by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Looks like we have a winner. Test drive the Hyundai Elantra, nicely equipped for just $12,524 at your Hyundai dealer. Hurry in and get $1,500 cash back or 0% APR through March 31st.
What I really need is to find my dad.
What a Girl Wants is a Cinderella story for the 21st century.
Bring it on.
It's a deliciously delightful comedy.
Wow.
I have no idea where that came from.
A story about family for every family.
Why are you trying so hard to fit in when you're born to stand out?
Amanda Bynes.
She is so nice.
Colin Firth.
Do you like Cocoa Pops?
Dude, it's chocolate.
What a Girl Wants. Rated PG. Starts Friday, April 4th at a theater near you.
I've been with him every day since he was born. I always knew my first day back would be the hardest.
Okay, buddy.
You're gonna be fine. When Mommy gets home, we're going to Friendly's.
Come home to Friendly's and our new Super Melts. Now try any of Friendly's legendary Super Melts and get a hot fudge sundae free.
Good first day, huh, Mom?
You and me and Friendly's.
Where can you experience Casino Niagara? Always a rush.
It's minivan madness at Webster Chrysler Jeep. Rows of minivans. Pick your color and equipment and buy it for just $299 a month with $0 down on a brand new Chrysler minivan. But wait, there's more. 0% financing on most Chrysler minivans. How about a brand new Town & Country for just $329 a month? Wow! Plus our everyday goal of at least $300 less than the competition. It's minivan madness going on now at Webster Chrysler Jeep, where you'll always find the best values in America.
You'll always find a price worth driving for.
I'll see to it.
You're watching News 10 NBC with the latest developments here at home and abroad. Target Iraq.
Some anti-war protesters showed up earlier tonight downtown, and this afternoon they rallied at the Liberty Pole. These were students who joined groups like Metro Justice and the Green Party. Protesters say they're concerned about the innocent people who will be killed in this war.
I think Saddam Hussein may be a very terrible leader. He may be a cruel dictator, but I don't think that war is the way to unseat him. During the Gulf War, 90% of casualties were civilians, and I think that the rate is going to go up. Historically, it's gone up, and I don't think that it's worth a single civilian death.
And there was a different kind of rally at RIT this afternoon with a different message. Students there passed out 600 flags. They want to show their support for the President, our troops, and the United States of America. They want to show that many students believe the war is the right thing to do.
It's an important cause, and right now we cannot afford to have division in our country. We have to stand united behind our president because he's doing what's right for our national security in the interest of the free world.
Students say the removal of Saddam Hussein and his weapons is crucial. They also say that our soldiers deserve all the support they can get from people here at home.
Well, how long do you think the war will last? Tonight, Rochester reacts.
Hopefully the war is not going to last too long because I think we got the best troops. I think that President Bush planned this pretty well. I think that the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the other people in the military, Marines, National Guard, are all set to go.
I'd say it's going to last about a year or two. I mean, there's just too much stuff going on, and there's a lot of people over there that are actually willing to fight for what they believe in.
I don't think I have a guess on how long it will last, but I'm behind Bush, and I think he needs a nation behind him.
With our nation at war, the threat of terrorism is elevated.
Just ahead, we take a closer look at the measures the health department and local emergency rooms are taking in case of a terrorist attack here. 10 NBC's coverage of Operation Iraqi Freedom continues.
Pikes Peak, where the wind breaks the speed limit, the snowfall breaks the records, and a single company breaks from the status quo. Audi, the only luxury car company with quattro all-wheel drive in every model line.
Mr. and Mrs. Caruso, your son's fine. Somehow he managed to jam a quarter up his nose. We were able to get it out. You can see him now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Say hello to Coinstar. You give us coins, we give you cash.
Coming only to theaters this Friday.
Bounce this way!
Their best friends lost.
That's gotta be dangerous.
And Pooh, Tigger, and all their pals are getting together.
We're geniuses!
To get him back.
Sticky geniuses!
This Friday.
Snow somersaults! I tried to stop, but it's no use.
It's big laughs, big fun, and big adventure.
Oh.
Piglets Big Movie, rated G. Only in theaters this Friday.
We could use a little help. Brilliant deduction there, Pooh Boy.
In nature, speed and timing are crucial. And now you need both to get a great deal on a new 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee during the Best Values in America event. So act fast to get great products, a great warranty, and great deals, like a generous cash allowance or a $349 a month lease on the new 2004 Grand Cherokee for qualified lessees. Remember, timing is everything. Great products, a great warranty, and great deals like a $349 a month lease add up to the best values in America. Hurry in for this $349 a month lease.
You're watching News 10 NBC with the latest developments here at home and abroad. Target Iraq.
Prayers for peace are taking place at the Islamic Center of Greater Rochester tonight. Local Muslims are gathering there for a very special service. As Americans, they'll pray for the safe and speedy return of our troops. As Muslims, their prayers are also with the innocent Iraqis who will be victims of that war. It's not a popular war here. The Religious Council stated their opposition to it in a news conference this afternoon. There's also concern about hate crimes against local Muslims, though that hasn't been a problem so far.
We have enhanced security of the center also here, and as well as in other places of worship at Rochester area. So, I mean, as Muslims, we are very concerned of what happens over there, what will be its repercussions upon us as a Muslim community.
There have been very minor, random incidents of abusive language or potential threats, but by and large, there has been an acceptance of the fact that what you see portrayed on TV or in media is not exemplary of Muslims in America, and especially Rochester.
The special prayers will take place after the evening prayer, which gets underway tonight at 8.
With our nation at war, national, state, and local health departments are in constant contact with one another. Local emergency rooms are on high alert. Monroe County has a computer system set up for local hospitals to share information. Hospitals have also prepared using drills in case there's a bioterrorism event. Monroe County Health Director Dr. Andrew Doniger says hospitals are on the lookout for clusters of unusual diseases or a sudden spike in diseases like influenza. Symptoms of the flu are similar to those of anthrax.
So if we were to see a big surge in that, we'd have to distinguish the normal community influenza that we tend to see in February, March of every year, or something unusual going on, and that's why we need to have close communication.
Dr. Doniger says our community is also prepared in case there is a smallpox outbreak. Local hospital teams have already been vaccinated. Of course, that's one of the big concerns, not only here, but for our troops as well overseas, bioterrorism, bioweapons, and things of that sort.
Indeed, it is. Yeah. Well, that is the latest from News 10 NBC. We will continue to have the latest on the war in Iraq.
NBC also will have an update every half hour, plus Dateline NBC tonight has a special edition starting at 10 o'clock. And then tonight on News 10 NBC at 11, you'll hear from a local family whose son is a soldier and is on a dangerous mission relating to this war, and the family apparently has not heard from that person in a month. A lot of families locally and, of course, all across the country are worried about loved ones overseas right now, and they're on a mission that a lot of us can't understand, can't really identify with, but they certainly can.
Unless you are in their shoes. That's right. And as you said, many of them right here in the Rochester, Monroe County area. We thank you so much for watching.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
When news breaks, it's not what you know, it's who you know. From Baghdad to the UN, plus its impact on Rochester. No one can match the power of NBC News and News 10 NBC. Experts at home, reporters in the field.
I'm News 10 NBC's Dean Staley in the Kuwaiti desert.
For continuing coverage on the war with Iraq, stay tuned to News 10 NBC. When news breaks, it's not what you know, it's who you know. News 10 NBC.
How can you possibly choose who to help in our community? Our children, big and small? Our families? Our elderly? Our disabled? The good news is you don't have to choose. By giving to United Way and checking the community fund box on your pledge form, you can help them all. Now is the time to give the United Way. Now is the time to take care of our own.
Go inside area hospitals for the latest news on breakthrough treatments and technology with Rochester's most experienced medical reporter.
I'm Robin DeWin. My medical checkup reports take you to the front lines of Rochester healthcare. You'll get answers to your medical questions, plus healthy tips to keep you and your family living well.
Robin DeWin's medical checkup reports, only on News 10 NBC. Digging for answers, reporting them first.